Hey guys, Akariss here, bringing you a more of a, I don't really know how to put this, but more like a opinions, impressions video, which I haven't done in quite a bit, but I felt I really wanted to and needed to with this brand new mode called Hall of Forms. So, and plus a lot of people have asked me, so I felt instead of a Twitter post that I might as well make a video talking about it. So it's a brand new mode. It's called Hall of Forms, for those of you that don't know. It's basically, you get predetermined units, these guys up here, that join you at level 10, and you pretty much build them as you go based on completion. And yeah, what you're looking at is actually pretty much my final builds for completing the whole mode. And that might come as a shock to some of you, because some of them might be unbuilt and they look pretty bare bones and such, but that's actually the draw of the mode, and I really do like it a lot. I did complete it actually on the first day. Straight from Ant Chamber up to Chamber 20 in one go on the first day, without having to redo anything. I probably had like 2 or 3 deaths overall. Everything on that can pretty much be covered in my Twitch VODs, so if you haven't checked out Twitch, go do that if you want to see the actual playthrough. I killed it all in about 3 hours, but it was engrossingly fun and felt like really classic in terms of Fire Emblem, which kind of forced a strategy, which was like bait and pile on, meaning you like use a single unit, probably my biggest MVP being Bowie, and then the rest of the units come in and just finish off the unit. So I'm not really going to talk about too many tips that I'm going to give you. Like, this isn't really going to be a guide, but I'm going to say that anyone who's having trouble with this, I don't feel like you really would need a guide. So what I'm saying is, there are so many days in this mode. I think it's almost like 2 weeks. And you know, you can pretty much replay the older stages as a way to grow your units, change their skills around, and just, you know, do some wacky stuff like this, like Tomato Tome, pretty much to support Celica, and then go from there. You know, what I pretty much went into this mode thinking was that it might have been like more than 20 chambers, there'd be more to it, it'd be more difficult. But what I came to the conclusion was this pretty much is a for fun mode, and I've been asking for this for quite a while, so I'm really happy that they did this. And honestly, go in here and have as like much fun as you can. I'm really impressed with this mode. However, with that being said, I will give you guys a few pointers to make it less stressful if you're having trouble, and maybe we'll look at some ideas that I think could really work in to make this mode a lot better going forward the next time it's rerun. So first of all, let's go over some tips. This may look weird that I have pretty much like no builds on you know, May, and even Bowie's kind of naked, and none of these units have specials. But the way I approached this mode was, you know, it comes down to stat checks. It always has been. Stat checks, baiting, making sure your bait unit survives, and then cleaning up from there, and using the positional skills to get out of danger. So the first time I ever saw positional skills while I was building these units was to make sure that I picked up reposition and drawback. These are key skills to making sure you succeed, because anytime you can kill something and get away unscratched is huge. You do want good bait units. This is important, and probably one of the things that might be overlooked when it comes to this mode. Now, it's really easy to create like a PvE unit in the main game, like Celica with her Ragnarok and Desperation and Dancers. And that's the thing, you don't have Dancers here, so it's hard to take advantage of what Celica should be. And I never really got her Ragnarok, maybe until like the final map. And I'm like, by that time, I'm like, okay, she's a support unit by this time. She's got wings, spurs, defense wave, whatever. Tomato Tome, might as well keep her the way she is. Support, I noticed that I got this pretty early, the Link skill, and then I got a positional skill. And that's pretty much all May ever needed to be. She just needed to reposition units, give them buffs, and go from there, with Bowie pretty much carrying a lot of these things. Now, you'll notice that a lot of the units also have merges given to them instead of skills, and this is deliberate. So instead of going for you know, some useless skills, like maybe I even saw like Ruptured Sky or Blue Flame, and I chose to give a merge to Bowie instead of that. I'll give you like an example of this. We're gonna go down to the bottom Ant Chamber, and we'll just quickly auto battle it, and you guys will see what I mean here. Let's actually give the first kill to Alm, and I'll go from there to kind of show you what a blank slate and how I would approach a certain skill. Because you never know. Something like this might be relevant if they do expand the floors or the mode gets a little bit more difficult. So you can always look back on this video or my point of view on how I succeeded. So you look at this, and right away a rally isn't really desirable because it uses an action turn. Wo Dao is, again, dependent on a special, so again, not desirable. Growing Wind, again, you're not realistically going to charge 4 hits in one battle unless you're using that unit solely as like your pure carry. Then we got Defense Respawn, Speed Reslink, and Times Pulse. So this is actually, those choices on skills I feel are actually pretty good. Now Defense Respawn has some anti-synergy with Draco Falchion. For those of you that don't know, if he's he doesn't have friends around, he gets a bunch of stats. So Defense Respawn wouldn't really be the preferable choice with Draco Falchion, but Speed Reslink is pretty good, especially when you have a positional skill. Don't pick up a link skill without a positional skill. You want to pick up the positional skill first. Times Pulse, that could make some specials easier to set up, such as Ruptured Sky, Moonbow, or Glimmer. But generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan. You could probably try some weird Infantry Pulse with Times Pulse, making your specials more consistent. But my general rule of thumb is I never pick up specials because they will not likely happen. When you have only 3, 4, sometimes 5 enemies on the enemy map, there is no chance that all your units are going to use those specials, so the special ends up being a dead skill. The way I look at it is make sure you have skills that are useful. Attack 3, not as great seal. There's definitely tons that are better than this. Link skill is good if you have the positional. Times Pulse if you have other like things that accelerate your special. Defense Respawn will be really good if, for example, Alm here would have a different weapon. So if he had something like Barrier Blade with a Res Refine, then you probably want to use Alm to bait out some units and then clean up with the rest of your units, where Defense Respawn would actually be pretty good. But because of Draco Falchion's anti-synergy, it doesn't end up being pretty good. And sometimes, when there's literally no other skill, I go for a merge. Because what happens at the end is it just becomes a bunch of stat checks. You gotta bait out a unit, you gotta make sure those units survive, then you gotta clean up. And the merge, even if it doesn't help that much, you know, it makes a difference. It has come down to like 1 speed, 1 attack. Those sort of situations have happened in the final few maps, and I feel like that really was important. So, you know, in this case, I go for Speed Reslink because I have reposition, so there's a bit of synergy there. Do keep in mind, the first merge you give a unit acts the same way as it does in standard gameplay, which means you give your unit like 5 stats, I believe. The 2 standard ones, and then the Bane is removed, but in this case, since everyone's neutral, they get just 3 stats to whatever their highest stats are. So the first merge is very high value, while the additional ones become a lot harder to really think about. So, with that being said, I love this mode, and it's really good. I really look for it to be expanded in one way or another. Maybe just free play, playing it without the requirement of the stamina. I feel like it's very restrictive. And maybe adding more floors to it with minor rewards. So maybe it goes up to like 50 chambers instead. And just so it doesn't feel like skill is so important to this mode and it's supposed to be pretty casual, then maybe it just gives you like 100 feathers for every floor above 20, so it doesn't feel unfair. You know, you're missing out on like, what, 3,000 feathers? It's not a huge deal. Feels very comparable to other modes, maybe like Tempest Trials, where the difference in there is not that much, or Arena Assault between different ranks. So if you have that extra skill built up from your formas, it goes up higher. Could even have like an Abyssal difficulty. Like right now it goes up to Infernal, but we already know that Abyssal exists, so why not go all the way up there, up to 50 chambers? And there's plenty of stamina replenishing over these 2 weeks for us to push that far. You know, it feels like you beat the mode and then just there for 2 weeks sitting around doing nothing, and all you do is just dailies. You know, there's so much more potential you could do out of this. Or even like a new game plus, where you start at the beginning and climb again, and again, maybe just have minor rewards rather than big ones, so it doesn't feel like too much of a grind, an obligation, and it just keeps that spirit of fun in it. So that's pretty much my take on Holoforms. If you do have any questions, you know, reach out to me on Twitter. I have a questions channel on Discord as well, and even the comments below, I'll check those out and respond to it. What do you think of this mode? Have you had fun? And what kind of suggestions do you feel like they should add going forward? Yeah, that pretty much is it. Thank you for watching, guys. Do look forward to some more videos, as always, every other day. Thank you, guys. Thumbs up, sub to the channel. See you in the next one. Peace.